Hey, good evening everybody. Tonight I'm going to do an alignment of a NexStar 6SE telescope. This same procedure applies to the 4SE, the 5SE, and the 8SE. We're going to do it with the 6 tonight. This telescope is fully constructed right now. When I go out to set it up, I will deconstruct it into the parts that you might have. If your telescope is new, it'll be the tripod, the mount, and the telescope. And then I will reconstruct that outside before I do the alignment. Now, to do this alignment, I'm going to use CPWI software. I have tried to use the hand controller, and it is really challenging. We're going to use CPWI because it is so easy. And so for that, you'll want to download CPWI to a laptop. You're going to need a cable to connect your laptop to the base of the hand controller. That is required. I'm also going to do everything through a camera because I like astrophotography, and at the end of an alignment, I'm always taking pictures. There is no need to do the alignment without the camera. Like sometimes people think you got to use the eyepiece, do the alignment, then you plug the camera in. Just plug the camera in right away. This is an ZWO ASI 678MC camera. Really love it for planetary photography. By the way, everything I'm talking about here, I'll put links in the description if you need to check those out. Also, a level and a compass. I'm going to be pretty meticulous about leveling it, especially because my next video, I'm going to do this with a wedge. And when you've got a wedge, you definitely need to have it leveled. I highly recommend a power supply. I also, for this procedure, I like using a focal extender, because it opens up the field of view. It makes it a lot easier to find those stars that you're trying to find to align, especially for me because it's very bright outside. I live in a suburb of Denver, Colorado, so I got the city lights and I've got house lights all around me. It's very bright. I'll only be able to see 6 or 7 stars tonight, which means those are the ones I will align to. I will also not be able to see the North Star because I'm going to set my telescope up on the south side of my house. My house is going to be in the way of the North Star. And so what I'm going to try to do tonight is align on 4 stars, 2 in the east, 2 in the west, and we'll try to get some vertical separation between them, a low star and a high star in both the east and west. You get 4 distant stars from each other, and you're going to get a much better alignment than if you're trying to just get a few stars very close together in one part of the sky. If there is just one part of this alignment procedure that you want to jump to, I will put a kind of a table of contents with all the links in the description. So if you just want to jump to one part of it, you can just click on that and jump into the video at that point. So I think I got everything I need here. I'm going to haul all of this outside, and I'll meet you out there. All right, so step 1 in this process is to set up the tripod. And the nice thing about these NexStar mounts is it doesn't really matter what configuration you set it up in. You can set it up in any way you want because the whole mount is going to rotate on top. So whatever's convenient for you. And then I just use the legs, kind of moving them out or in to get it level. And I don't even think it's really that important to be level with these NexStar mounts because the software should be able to adjust for any sort of irregularities there. But it's good to practice leveling because you will need it to be level if you ever add a wedge to this or if you go the route of an equatorial mount. The way you do this is you set your level across 2 legs and level that first, and then level the 3rd leg against the other 2 by putting the level in between the first 2 leveled and then point it at the 3rd leg. And you might have to go back and forth a little bit to level these. And that looks pretty good. All right, next up we're going to put the mount on, and you can put this in any configuration you want. I'm going to just throw it on this way. And it's just a matter of tightening the 3 screws on the bottom, just nice and hand tight, obviously. Nothing super tight needed there. Now for the telescope itself, and you're going to put the telescope on the right side as you're looking down on it of the mount and loosen it up as much as you need to get it on there. You do want to make sure that this is seated really nicely in here. I have had it where I kind of had it offset a little bit, and then partway through the session, so it got really loose, messed up my alignment a little bit. And you'll just want to put this as far as sliding it forward or back. There's a little cutout, I guess, in the rotating part of the mount that the black bottom part of your telescope will kind of seat into. At this point, I'm going to put on that focal reducer. Like I was saying before, that just is going to open up the field of view for me a little bit so that I can see more of the sky in or through my camera. I'll just go ahead and put my camera on there too, so I don't have a open hole going into my telescope. We've got the focal reducer, we've got the visual back, and we've got the camera. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and supply power now. And I do have batteries in, so I can power it up that way. I always keep the power supply on it though, just in case the batteries are low. At this point, your focus has changed quite a bit because you put that focal reducer on. So it's good to get rough focus before you start your alignment process. I'm gonna focus on something that's about a block away. There's a street light over there. And that'll allow us to at least be in rough focus when we're going to find those stars. A lot of times I'll see people on forums say, I'm looking through my telescope, I don't see anything. And usually that's because it's so out of focus that it just looks like black sky. We don't want to be starting our alignment so out of focus that you can't even see the stars you're trying to align to. So let's get a good rough focus on a street light that's a block away. So I've visually got it pointed in that direction. At this point, I'm gonna plug in my camera. Because I do have that electronic focuser on here, I need to attach to the mount at this point. You could do this all through the hand controller and through your camera, but I need to be attached to the computer so that I can control that focus. And I'll go ahead and launch CPWI right now. And SharpCap. SharpCap is the software, the free software that we'll use to look through the camera. Okay, so I'm gonna get rough alignment here through my red dot finder. And that's the other thing we're gonna wanna do here is at the end of this process, we're gonna really wanna fine tune our red dot finder so that we're not fumbling around looking for our alignment stars. And this is one of those cases that I'm talking about where I think I'm lined up right at that street light, but you can't see anything in my camera, and that's, I believe, because I'm so out of focus. The Celestron electronic focuser is really nice. It creates this little widget here that you can just use to move the focus in and out. I think with the focal reducer, I need to go to a higher number here, so I'm gonna just go higher and higher here. There it is. My focus is actually pretty good there. I kind of guessed at my focus on the electronic focuser, and it looks like I guessed about right. So I'm going to go ahead and center this street light and then tune the red dot finder. So at this point, if the street light was really blurry, I can't believe I nailed it with the focus. I guessed at that 23,500. At this point, I'm just going to align my red dot finder because I saw that wasn't quite pointing at the street light. So this is your opportunity to do that. And the red dot finder has an adjustment on the right side that takes you kind of right and left, and then an adjustment on the bottom towards the back of the telescope that goes up and down. And you really want to dial this in because this is going to make the next step a lot easier. Boy, that looks pretty spot on. I'm glad I did this because it was way off. Okay, I'm ready to go there. I'm going to disconnect at this point and act like I'm just starting up again, just in case you guys didn't connect CPWI that last part because you didn't need to do the focusing through your computer. So if you were just doing all that through the hand controller, this is the point where you would connect your cable from the bottom of the hand controller to your laptop so that you can connect CPWI. So let me close everything. Okay, so let's launch CPWI, and I'm also going to launch SharpCap, which is what I'm going to use to look through my camera. And we're looking at that street light. And let's see what CPWI has to say. We're going to want to do the USB connection. And hopefully it will find my mount, and it will find a auto focuser or the electronic focuser. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and launch my focuser, even though It looks like I'm pretty much in focus. And we're gonna do a manual alignment. It didn't find star sense. You might have seen that it said star sense there for a little bit, but then it disappeared when it didn't find it. So we're gonna do a manual alignment. And this is the point where you're gonna wanna set your location. Your time should be accurate to your laptop time, and you can see that at the top it says 5 a.m., which is the time here. And my lat and long, I'm just going to check through an app on my phone. It is gps-coordinates.net. I'm just doing it through a browser, and I'll just check my lat and long here. And actually, I'm going to re-enter my lat and long, just show you how it's done. You press that set location button here, and then up here at the top there's the latitude and longitude, and you can enter it in hours, minutes, seconds, or you can enter it in decimal. It'll accept either one. And I'm just re-entering mine. I'm gonna probably block it out so you can't see it, but that's what I'm doing. There's the latitude. I entered it in decimal, and enter the longitude. Again, I'm entering it in decimal, and it's translating it to hours, minutes, seconds. You can also click this select on Google Maps button. It'll bring up Google Maps. You can click on a place on the map. That's probably easier, but I like to be super accurate down to like the square foot that I'm on the globe. Okay, once you got your lat and long in, just press OK there, and we're good on manual alignment. Make sure Alt As is selected at the top, and you can say begin alignment. And before we get into the alignment procedure, let's just make sure our telescope is set to sidereal tracking rate. So we're going to go over to telescope and say configure mount, and verify that the tracking rate says sidereal, and it does. And then we're going to have to press OK at the bottom of this, I believe. Press accept. Now, it's going to guide us through this process, and the first step is to point your telescope roughly to the north and level. I'm going to be fairly accurate about the level part. North is just going to be pointing in the direction of my house here. And we're going to do that with the slew controls here. And I just put my level across the two black parts of the telescope there, and that looks pretty good. And that doesn't have to be exact. These NexStar mounts are really forgiving about this. This is also where if you don't know which way is north, you might be in the middle of a park. I've been in that situation before. That's when you're gonna use your compass. Just stand behind your telescope, line up north, and adjust your telescope accordingly. That looks good. I am now north and level, so I'm going to say I am ready for alignment. Okay, and it wants me to select targets. I'm just going to zoom out quite a bit. This is where I adjust my visibility settings, because I can't see a lot of stars, so I don't want to see a lot of stars in my view in CPWI. So over here in Sky Viewer at the bottom, there's a magnitude slider, and for that, if you want to see all the stars, you can go to Mag 15 and you'll see a bunch of dots in this viewer. I just go slide it all the way to the left, Mag 4, Mag 3, and only get the brightest stars, because that's all I'm going to be able to see with all the street lights and everything in my neighborhood. Like I said earlier before we came out here, what I want to do is get 4 stars that are very far apart in the sky. Typically I'll take 2 in the east and 2 in the west, 1 low, 1 high. I'll do the best I can. North is this way, can't see anything in the northern sky. It's always good to go with the brightest star first, because that's going to be your toughest one to find. And it's Sirius, so that is a super bright star. I'm still learning the stars just like a lot of people. I do know that that's Jupiter that's straight above me, if that counts for anything. So we will use Sirius as our first alignment star. We'll go ahead and click on it up here in the star map, and then it'll change this button down here to say go to Sirius, and then we're just going to click on that. One thing you do have to be conscious of with these NexStar mounts is the cord management. This thing will allow you to just wrap yourself in a circle, which is kind of what it's doing here. There is a setting on here to allow for cord management where it only goes kind of left and right. It doesn't start spinning these circles. I don't have that set right now, so I might have to make some adjustments here. So this is where I'm going to go over to my camera so I can see what's going on. And we'll move the slew controls off to the side. As far as exposure, I usually like these to be super bright. So I'll go up to like 60 milliseconds, 50 to 60 milliseconds. We'll go ahead and say 60 milliseconds. And something high on the gain, like 350, somewhere in there, just so that we don't miss any of these stars. These alignment stars are going to be super bright at these settings, which is perfect. And then I'm going to click on the mount slew. Well, first of all, I'm going to change the slew controls to be a little faster. We'll go to 7. And then I'm going to click on this mount slew controls window so that I can just use the arrow keys on my laptop to control the telescope. And I'm just going to move it until that red dot finder is right on top of Sirius in this case. And there it is. Oh, and you can see that I'm actually pretty out of focus. Great focus for the street light down there, but not so good for the star. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and update my focus too. But that street light focus at least got me close enough that I could see Sirius fairly bright. Now, as far as alignment goes, I am a stickler for perfect centering of the alignment. So, some people might just be like, okay, it's in there, let's go. We're going to go ahead and put that thing right in the middle of the crosshairs. So here we're going to lower the rate a little bit so we can fine tune it. Again, using the controls on the laptop, I'm going to get that thing right in the middle. And you just want to wait for it to settle down. The gears need to engage. I think I can adjust backlash on my mount, but I tried that on another mount. It didn't work very well, so I'm kind of skittish on the backlash. Okay, so I got part of the star in the crosshairs. That's going to be good enough for me. And we'll go back to CPWI and say that we found Sirius. And you can see this is the difference. The yellow is where it thought Sirius was. Green is where you're telling it is. When you say centered, that green is going to snap to the yellow. Okay, so we got our first star. Let's find a second star. All of the bright ones are kind of in the middle of the sky right now. I would like to get something a little bit farther away. I'll tell you what, just for the sake of demonstration, just to show you don't have to only do stars. We do have Jupiter up here, so I'm going to just go to Jupiter. If the moon's in the sky, you could do the moon too. You just got to make sure you get right in the center of the moon. So let's go to Jupiter next. And we've already given it that first alignment star, so each subsequent alignment star, it should be closer when it takes its first guess. So let's go take a look at where we're at. And I don't see Jupiter, but I do see this light here. I wondered if that was the case. So it's kind of coming into view here as the gears are slowly starting to engage. So when you first slew to an object, it takes a few moments for it to kind of lock in, and that's what's going on here. Is Jupiter's moving through the sky, and then eventually it'll stop. And you can see I am still a little out of focus, so I'm going to go ahead and fix that. And there's really no need, I guess, to have it stop moving because we're going to move it around anyway. I need to go back to a slew rate of 4, something a little bit more specific. You can see Jupiter's huge, so even in this case, we're going to want to make sure we get the middle of Jupiter. And it's drifting around quite a bit. To be honest with you, I haven't quite figured out how to avoid that. You just kind of got to get in front of it, like I'll move it off to the left of the crosshairs, let it drift in. Okay, it went past it, I'll move to the left again, and there. I got it locked in there. The gears are now engaged and it's tracking. So I'll just go ahead and say yes to this one. I'm a little off to the side, but man, that's pretty close. So let's go back to CPWI and say centered. Okay, I do want to get something a little bit more to the east. I'm going to try Regulus. So I can barely see Regulus because it is so bright out. Okay, I want to show you guys a technique here because I can't see. Oh. Okay, I just got lucky there. I was about ready to quit and do a different technique to find this guy, but it just drifted into my field of view. So let's go ahead and log this one. So again, it's going to drift a little bit, kind of overshoot it, and then let it drift back into view or back into the crosshairs. And that looks pretty good there. So I'm going to go ahead and lock that one in with CPWI. And you can see how close its guess was versus where it actually is. So it's getting better and better. This next one, since we've already got 3, this next one should be pretty good. It's got 3 points already, and I want to go off to the western sky. And I can't even see Hamal. I'll tell you what, I'm going to do Hamal as my next one. I cannot see it in the sky, but this is where, if it doesn't lock into it, I'll show you the grid search here. Okay, so it thinks it's on Hamal, and it might actually be pretty close because we have already aligned 3 stars. And there it is right there. Okay. I would say it's not always this easy, where everything just kind of falls into place. Part of it was because I did have it pointed almost exactly at north when I started, and it's super level, so that helped quite a bit. Sometimes, though, there will be times when, like I will say, slew to Hamal, and Hamal won't be there, and I literally cannot see it in the sky because it's just too bright out here. So what I would do there, I'll just show you this, is I'll move my SharpCap off to the side, and then I'll move the CPWI off to the other side just so I can see a sliver of it, and Hamal with the green and yellow there. And then what I'll do is just do a grid search is what I call it, where I'll just slew back and forth, up and down, until I find it. So I'll just kind of show you that here. Bye, Hamal. And so, you know, I'll kind of go left to right. Let's act like we didn't see that. And then I'll move down a little bit and go the other way. And then I'll go down a little bit and come back the other way. And I'll just kind of go back and forth around where the telescope thinks Hamal is until it comes into view. That's the grid search technique. I actually end up using that a lot more with my longer focal length telescope because it's just a lot smaller field of view. This is really nice because with the 6SE, you can get a pretty good view of the sky. And so I didn't have any problems finding any of these stars. So I'm trying to find it again. Let's see. So might have to re-grid search here to find this thing. There it is. There, it's locked in now. It's not drifting, and it's right in the middle. This is really good. I'm going to go ahead and tell CPWI that I am done. So centered. It does say I want one more point. It's recommendation west of the meridian. So like I was saying, I like to get 2 in the east, 2 in the west. But there's just nothing else over here in the west. I can't see any of these guys because my house is in the way. But I think we've got a pretty good alignment here. If I could see these guys, I would add one in because CPWI is making that recommendation, but I'm just going to finish it here. As far as doing the alignment, that is it. I love doing the alignment on these NexStar mounts. You know, if I'm not fumbling through this trying to explain it, this can all be done in 15 or 20 minutes, and you're doing observations immediately. So since we're done, I'm just going to press exit. And you will have to launch your slew controls to move around at all. So I'll do that off to the side, and let's just do a quick test of it. And let's go back to Jupiter because I am going to take off my focal reducer, probably put on a Barlow because I think the seeing's pretty good tonight. Try to take a couple snapshots of Jupiter. I'll put those in here at the end of the video. Okay, let's find Jupiter. Everything that we have used as an alignment is one of these orange crosses now, and there's Jupiter. So let's go to Jupiter. And to go to anything in the sky, you just click on the object, and then this window will come up and you just say go to. And let's see how it does. Always give it a second, see if it's going to drift into view. And there it is at the bottom. You can see it's starting to drift in. Looks pretty good. I don't know if I got focus good.